When you move up to the second level, in gamification, the thing that sets gamification apart from everything else is that you do include a narrative. Which is why I'll go back to, if all you're doing is point badges and leaderboards and you don't have any kind of narrative that's wrapping things around it and making it some kind of synchronous thread that leads the whole way through, you're not doing gamification, you're doing point badges and leaderboards, which is okay, but gamification has a story. It has a narrative. It has a quest. It has an adventure. And there's a ton of different places where you can get that. And then there is no right or wrong as long as it resonates with your audience. So when you think about stories, a place you can start is someplace like Gutenberg.org. I have that on the back side for you, so don't worry about writing it down. But that's a place where you can get public domain stories. These are stories that don't have a copyright. There's gazillions of them out there. There's Snow White, there's Robin Hood, there's Sherlock Holmes, there's all these different great adventures, so you don't have to start with a blank page. I had a payroll company that they asked me to design a payroll law class, 6 hours of payroll law. 6 hours of payroll law. I mean, if that doesn't make you want to go, no. I was like, this is just boring. So how can we make it interesting? We took the public domain story of Snow White. We wrapped the entire 6-hour course in that. We had allegories that we wove the whole way through. So for example, you have Grumpy Gus. Everybody knows Grumpy, you know, you work with him, right? I don't know if it worked. You're never gonna prove that. It's gonna be a disaster. We all know Gus, but do you know why he's so grumpy? Do you know it's because he's on his third marriage, and he's paying child support to his first two. In fact, he has to pay alimony to the second one. And when we study garnishments, we learn that his wages are being garnished to the extent that all we are paying him is the amount that we are required by law that he can take home with him. You'd be grumpy too. Then we have Dopey Dan. We're not sure what he is. He's the boss's son. And we're pretty sure he's responsible. Because as the boss's son, we have him as executive exempt, but he probably is just an hourly employee. Why does that matter? Because the IRS cares. Because we're talking about tax dollars here. I think my favorite allegory in the whole design was the woodsman. The queen gave explicit detail to the woodsman on what he was supposed to do with Snow White. Remember the story? He was supposed to take her deep into the woods, distract her with the birds and the flowers. And when she wasn't paying attention, he was to take his knife, carve out her heart. It's a children's story. So stay with me. All right? Take this heart and put it in a box and bring it back to me. Now, that's a lot of detail. So does that make the woodsman an employee of the queen or an independent contractor? Does he do this for other queens? Does he have a billboard in the woods where he advertises his services? Who cares? The IRS cares. And we did classify it right. When we first did this, it was in 2009, so it was right after that first crash in Page. I don't know if you remember this, and you might have been a part of it, but a lot of companies were right-sizing, letting people go and bringing them back in as a contractor to do the exact same job they had just been downsized out of. So now the IRS is saying they're not an independent contractor, they're an employee. We have to know those things in payroll law. You can take your adventure in the form of a quest. Recently we did work for a buildings management system where part of their mission statement is storm. If you go to their website, it's got a flash and it's got storm and lightning, and this acronym STORM spells out their level of excellence that they are committed to giving their customers. This is for their young sales force, and I thought, well, let's put them on the quest of being storm chasers. So they got to be on a storm chasing team, and they got to, actually they did learn about tornadoes and hurricanes, and they absolutely loved it because it was all about relationship selling. But they went on a quest. And then this last one we did for an onboarding recently at Napa University in South Africa. And when you think about where you can get ideas, 100 most popular movies, or the most popular movie out there is a great place to start getting that creativity buzzing. We were doing this onboarding design, and as far as narrative, I couldn't get anything in my head except for, do you remember like the devils that sat on your shoulder, like the bad devil and the good angels. And some of you are too young, like, what is she talking about? But see, that's what our demographic was young. I'm like, they're not going to know what I'm talking about with the devil and the angel. But I had just seen the Pixar movie Inside Out a few weeks earlier. I thought, this is perfect. I can't use those characters because they most definitely are copyrighted. But I can take the concept of, they've got these characters inside of us that are helping us to succeed or causing us to stumble and fall. So when I'm saying you can create your story from anything, you can create your story from anything. Just not a blank page. Just don't use a blank page. Get creativity somewhere.